In this video, I will be demonstrating the forward engineering process using MySQL Workbench. The process of forward engineering takes a created data model that has been created in MySQL Workbench and creates the SQL associated with that data model and executes that SQL on the database server of your choice. In front of me, I have a data model that is comprised of 6 entities. And we will be forward engineering this data model onto a database server. To start off with, we open up the data model, and as we can see, the data model is open in front of us. Now, the next thing we want to do is to the left-hand side, notice that you have a database specified over here, specified as MyDB. We want to change that, so double click on it, and we're going to change that schema name MyDB to your database name. For instance, something like ns underscore mysampledb, ns underscore mysampledb. And if you hit enter, you will notice that the name of the schema changes to ns underscore mysampledb. Now we are ready to forward engineer. The first thing you're going to do is click on database and then select forward engineer. You will see this screen show up asking which database server do you want to connect to and subsequently forward engineer your data model to. I'm going to connect to my local host or local database. You can select any database of your choice to forward engineer your data model to. In this case, I'm just going to be forward engineering it to the local database. And so I have a host name, which is the local server, and my username is root. Use the appropriate host name, use the appropriate username, and use the appropriate password for your database server. And then hit continue. You will then get a set of options to select. Of these options, the basic ones that you do want to check are the following. The first one is to generate insert statements for tables. One of the things that you can actually do in your data model is to actually put data into your data model, into these entities that we see in the background. And what clicking on this box will do is it'll generate insert statements based on the data that you have in those entities. The next box you want to check is drop objects before every create object. And so if an entity of that name already exists in a database that has already been created, it'll drop that object before it creates an object based on your data model. And uncheck this last box. And so we're just going to have two boxes checked: generate insert statements for tables and drop object before each create object. Click on continue. In this screen, I can select the objects I want to forward engineer. I have 6 entities in my data model. And if I take a look at the filter, I can pick the objects I want to exclude. So if I don't want to include type in my database, I can exclude it. And then I can hit continue. And so what MySQL Workbench does is it presents to you the SQL script that it will execute on your database server so that it can create your schema. You'll notice it says create schema if it does not exist. So if the database does not already exist, it makes the schema. Then it uses the schema on the database, and if the table already exists, it drops the table. Otherwise, it creates a table, and so you see all the SQL code for the creation of the tables. And normally, if you had data in your tables based on the fact that we checked the box generate insert statements for tables, you'd have a bunch of insert statements down here. And if you hit continue, you will notice that it connected to the database, executed the script, um, and save the state. So we say close. And now when we connect to the database server, in this case this was my local host, you will notice that I have a database ns_mysampledb. I have the tables, cinema, movie, showing, theater, and ticket present in here with the respective columns in there. This is how one goes ahead and creates a data model and engineers it to a database server. Thank you for listening, and please let me know if you have any questions.